Welcome back to Nakamoto 101, where Chisel and Doge explain the Bitcoin Whitepaper in tiny little chunks. And this is section 8, Simplified Payment Verification. And in this section, Satoshi is basically extending what we were just establishing in reclaiming disk space, about pruning the unnecessary older information from a blockchain's records over time, or from your local instance of it. And SPV was kind of a proposed way to verify payments without running a full network node in the white paper. And Doge, can you give some, I guess, cultural context on whether we use SPV today?
I don't think it's a really common thing that's used almost at all. Generally, the wallets people use just connect to someone else's node. And all of the exchanges, I would hope, they all run their... No. Everyone should be running their own nodes. It's really not that hard. But even this early on, like this is like the white paper, so before release, Satoshi was already looking to a future, we'll call it, where... everyone was like using Bitcoin, therefore like not everyone's going to want to have the entire blockchain in their pocket at all times. So after going over just how little data you'd need to have to prove something existed, simple payment verification is like a way to say, yes, this transaction happened, because you know where it is and like its hash, so you can like look onto that block and say, does this hash appear in this block? If it does, then you're like, okay, that payment happened. Right? So it's like, it's not really perfect. You're not like, you're not inspecting the payment very well. You're like, I know it exists. Mm-hmm. So it's like a different level of like, how important you'd consider something.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, so if you wanted to find this transaction, but you didn't have like anything downloaded, and you just had the header, so this is one block, and you have a block before it, a block after it. All you need to know is what block number, so you could find the root hash of all the information. And you could say, okay, this transaction hash, is it part of this block? And you can kind of get a yes-no back. So if you say this is the transaction and this is where to find it, someone without the chain could, without the whole blockchain or without the data, even without even having it, can find any transaction. So this kind of provides a way to like verify things without doing the full run through of where did it come from, what's its history, where did it go.
Okay, thank you, Alex. And in the final part of section 8 here, Satoshi turns from proposing this SPV model to focusing again on the game theory elements of this and putting things in terms of the majority of honest nodes controlling this network so that it cannot be overpowered by an attacker. And I found it interesting, the final sentence in this section: businesses that receive frequent payments will probably still want to run their own nodes for more independent security and quicker verification. Even though people don't use SPV specifically, I would argue that that's true of like any payment channels sort of approach to Bitcoin, and anything where we're building layers with with a little bit of trust or anything like that. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin as an ecosystem?
Yeah, it's clear that it was always part of the goals. And we're going to need more ways to, verify without having everything. It's not that bad to do right now, and like it mentions, everyone should be running a node. It really is about like the trade-offs. What are you using it for, and what are you, what's the value of what you're doing? Because the higher the value. It also, when he mentions attacker, like usually that's like the worst case scenario coming at one person, like attacking a transaction or a person. Like in order to fool someone, you kind of got to do a lot.
Yeah. I like how adversarial and cynical in nature the Bitcoin white paper is.
Yeah, it's like if this guy wants to steal your coffee, it's going to be super difficult.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us, and see you next time.